Before I start, I want you all to take a look at the person sitting next to you. Odds are you're looking at the person you came here with, someone you value and appreciate, someone who makes these TED Talks a little more enjoyable than they already are. And if you came here alone, you probably won't be alone for very long. And maybe next time, you'll even have someone sitting beside you. But for those of you that did come with someone, why is that? Why is it that even when we can do things alone, we still crave to do them together? I used to be a strong believer in the fact that money could buy happiness, or rather that money could buy the things that make you happy. And for a long time, there was no reason for me to challenge that ideology, but it wasn't long before I realized that I never actually knew what it meant to be happy. Growing up, every time I got something new, I got that same feeling, that same unmistakable rush of excitement that makes you feel like you're on top of the world, like you've gotten everything you've ever wanted, needed, an iPad. But eventually, as it goes with most things, I got bored of it. The novelty of the iPad 6 had worn off, and I was left searching for something new, something that could give me that same rush, that same thrill. And then I found it, the iPad 7. And for a long time, the cycle repeated itself. It went on and on, until I was finally able to break it, 2 years ago in 8th grade. To this day, whenever someone poses the popular question of, if you could relive any point in your life, when would you choose? I choose 8th grade in a heartbeat. And what's funny about this is that, subjectively speaking, 8th grade wasn't a very good year for me. My grades were slipping, I was lacking in my sports, and while I wasn't exactly thriving during this period of time, but even if all of that was true, it was still the point in my life in which I was the happiest. Because in 8th grade, I made a friend who understood me. Talking to them became a part of my daily routine and also the highlight of my day. They made my problems feel lighter and made me laugh even when I felt like crying. We even made a fake language together. And for the first time in my life, I felt a selfless kind of connection. The kind where I genuinely wanted the best for them as much as they wanted the best for me. And for me, that is what genuine connection looks like. But over the course of time and arguments, we grew apart. And by 9th grade, we wouldn't even dare to look at each other. And for me, the loss of that friendship was the turning point at which I realized that everything I had previously understood about what it meant to be happy was entirely wrong. So I started chasing validation elsewhere, through better grades, more medals, more distractions. And for a while, it was easy to convince myself that that was what happiness looked like, that all I needed was more achievements, more possessions to fill the void. But if you really think about it, how long do you remember a perfect test score? A day? Maybe 2? I started to realize that in the long term, none of this really mattered. It didn't matter whether I won or lost a race on sports day or whether I passed or failed an ad maths exam, because in 10 years, no one would even remember these things. They wouldn't remember that I got principal's list or a medal in 10th grade because, quite frankly, even I wouldn't remember. But something that I would remember, something that matters, could be a single genuine connection. Because that is something that can stay with you for years and potentially your whole life. And instead of dwelling on the loss of that one relationship, I put effort into creating new ones. Over time, I met new people and formed new friendships that have made my life more meaningful. And sometimes, you don't even need to leave your house to form these connections, because sometimes they live with you. And for me, that looks like my dad, who's the reason I'm standing here today. He was always there in the little ways, whether it was making coffee at 12 a.m. when I had to study, or the PS5 that wasn't happening, but somehow appeared in our living room the next day. He taught me that connection wasn't built through grand gestures, but through consistency. What I'm trying to say is that we as human beings are the only things capable of evoking the most emotion out of each other, whether that's anger and appreciation, grief and gratitude, or love and loss. The deepest emotions that we experience all come from connection. But why would you believe me when I say that? I mean, I'm a 15-year-old in 10th grade. What do I know about the hardships of life and the importance of relationships? Well, I actually believe that being a 15-year-old in this generation is what makes me worth listening to, worth believing. I am a part of a generation that is currently subconsciously influenced into believing that we need to be independent, chasing achievements and grades instead of trying to find that comfort in connection, in fear of being perceived as vulnerable or weak. And I too was a victim of this mindset. I tied my achievements to my own worth, and while living like this, I was in a constant state of panic, trying to maintain the grades I had worked so hard for that when I got them, I wasn't happy, I was just relieved. And when I fell short, I wasn't just disappointed, I felt worthless. That's when I started to realize that these achievements weren't making me happy, they were making me scared. And while it's always important that you try your best, you should never make these things your main source of happiness. But the worst part about all of this was that during this time, I had no one to talk to about it. Because what I had failed to understand was that the reason I was struggling was because I had never viewed my relationships as a priority. But I'm not the first person to think this way. In fact, the very first person to conduct a study on this was Dr. Arlie Bach, a Harvard researcher who founded something known as the Grant Study, one of the longest studies ever conducted on human happiness. So before I tell you what they concluded, I want to ask you a question. What do you think is the greatest source of human happiness? Is it the $1 million sports car or the 5-bed mansion? This study revealed that the greatest source of human happiness is the quality of your relationships. But how do we actually build these connections? Well, it starts with being open and outgoing, making the effort to reach out, engage with others, and meet new people. And it's extremely important to note that not every connection you make will last forever. And that's completely okay. Some connections are fleeting, some are purely meant to teach you something, and that's just part of the process. Because at the end of the day, life isn't about how many people you can name or how many numbers you have saved. It's about the people who face your challenges with you, the ones who celebrate your victories with you, and the ones who stay with you. Now I want you all to turn to the person sitting on the other side of you. Odds are, some of you are looking at a complete stranger. But maybe they don't have to be. Take this opportunity to build a new connection today. Thank you.